Hell, my name is Alex Dunlap here with Cody Carpentier on a big victory Monday here on Orange Bloods Live. We are your friends here on the Football with Friends show. So happy to be here with you, and happy that Texas is coming off a win, still in control of their own destiny. Coming up into this A&M game, into Thanksgiving week. Hope you're having a good time with your kids at home, or if you're a kid, being at home, or what have you, traveling around and stuff. We're gonna have shows all through the rest of the week, except for on Thanksgiving. So make sure you stay make sure you stay tapped in. A bunch to get to today, man. We have the Texas A&M players dissing Anthony Hill and giving Texas bulletin board material as if they need that. We have some updates on guys like Mike Fasusi coming out of the weekend. One from Jason Sukumo. One I just read from Rivals is Sam Spiegelman. Where do we stand with that? Did Oklahoma weasel themselves back in with that big win at home versus Alabama? All the fallout from these games and what happened. I want to talk to Cody about whether Texas definitely needs to win versus A&M to still get in the college football playoff. I've heard kind of differing takes on that. I've had thoughts about that. And then just the general sort of state of the SEC as we put together these rankings this week. We also have tonight the Harbaugh Bowl, which I like to refer to as the Texas Kicker Bowl, right?
Hey,
Dicker versus Tucker.
Dicker versus Tucker. So maniacally, I just did my 3 picks over at Roster Watch. I took Justin Tucker higher than 8 kicking points, Alex.
I was thinking about taking the under 8.
8.
I was going to take Dicker more and Tucker less because, dude, Tucker, man, father time,
struggling,
undefeated, and I think to get to 8 kicking points in this game, he's going to need 2 field goals.
Yep.
I think that's what he's going to need to push at 8, and then it's just a matter of whether or not Lamar can get him in for 3 touchdowns.
So we're talking about 30 points.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I think this is going to be a game where, I mean, it's the 2 Harbaughs, dude. They're not going to go in there and embarrass each other. It's not going to be an embarrassment of a game. I think they're going to play solid. So we'll talk about that when we get to the end with the prize picks. Oh, yeah. I just wanted to say right off the bat, too, thanks to everybody that came out. I see Money B in the chat, man. Thanks to Money B for coming out to the live show at Texas Beef Traders on Friday. Not quite the crowd we had versus UGA, man, but they made up for it in spirit, dude. The other people that were there, I could say I'm not gonna say their real names on the show, but I don't think they have screen names. They're not cockamamie chatters. So, but thanks to all you guys, man. You know who you are. All right, Ant Hill. So, is it smart for what's the left tackle's name? Number 60.
Trey Zune.
Trey Zune. Is it smart for Trey Zune to come out? Let me just make sure that I have the quote exactly right here. So he says, "You're going to give Ant Hill even more ammo."
Dude, this guy's locker is going to be painted in bulletin board material by the end of the week, especially when not getting the Butkus finalists behind Danny Stutzman. Now Trey Zune opens his mouth like this is.
Ketchum had a great tweet about this. Player A, 79 tackles, 15 tackles for loss, 7.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and an interception on a 10-1 team. Player B, 100 tackles, 7.5 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 0 forced fumbles, interceptions, or fumble recoveries on a 6-5 team. Guess who's on the Butkus final list? And of course, he's talking about Stutzman.
Yeah, the more known guy, the guy with the name at this point. And the thing is, Anthony, what this tells me, Alex, I think this is one thing. The first thing I thought of when I saw this and I saw Ketch put that tweet out was, gosh, this is almost probably like the Indiana thing where maybe too much of the media really hasn't watched Indiana play football and like really knew what Indiana was. And that's why it took so long for them to get kind of ranked higher and higher and higher and stuff. They're a good football team. Ohio State's just really great. But the point is, maybe a lot of people really just haven't watched Texas defense. They really have just watched Anthony Hill play football. He's a sophomore. I think that's what that tells me because, again, if you turn on the tape, and this is with all the people on social media, which I really don't care about, but like it tells you that maybe the media is not even paying enough attention to Texas's defense. People are like, easy schedule. They haven't played nobody. But you don't hear many people outside of the Texas sphere saying, remember, this is the number 1 defense in the country. It has been all year. Remember turnovers, remember sacks, remember all this stuff. You don't hear it. And maybe that bit into this Butkus finalist voting a little bit. Getting
How
that
can you have
Stutzman
Stutzman?
has a name.
How can you have Stutzman? 1 sack versus 7.5 sacks.
Name.
15 TFLs versus 7.5 TFLs. He only
Name.
has 21 more tackles. It's what, but well, all right, well, go look. The people who vote for the Butkus Award aren't talking to NFL scouts.
Clearly,
They're just not. They aren't. They're talking about now that people who I'm talking about now are saying that Ant Hill is going to go higher in the draft than Georgia guy. What is his name again?
Georgia guy, Jalen Walker.
Yeah, Walker.
Yeah,
He'll go higher next year than Walker's going to go this year.
I think he's a top 15 lock, but I think he can push top 10.
Walker?
No, Hill.
Is Walker being projected top 15?
He was. I haven't looked at the data in a couple weeks. I think he was like 17 at one point.
Oh, by the way, man, we got an email at our show email address, fwfemails@gmail.com that I forgot to ask you about, Cody, but it was our guy or gal. I'll say their first name, Nicholas. They were saying, he was saying, hey, I hear y'all talk about the combined mock drafts, the create one mock draft with the average draft position, and he was curious about that website, and I didn't know what it was either. Can you tell him what that is?
NFL mock draft database.com.
Okay. So that's where you can go check that stuff, Nick. And thank you for watching the show. And thank you for emailing in. Thanks to everybody who emails in. All right. So all right. What did the Aggie say? So here's what he said. He said, this was Trey Zune on the after, by the way, he said that he feels bad for Texas players for the environment that they're about to walk into. He said that he's a great player, but he's nothing that we haven't seen before and nothing we can't handle. And I'm just gonna say it, man. Those
are fighting words.
Those are fighting words. And now you have Ant Hill coming off a co-SEC Defensive Player of the Week game, wherever he's gotten totally snubbed on the Butkus Award. It hurts even worse that it's for a guy like Stutzman, who's on your rival team, who's had nowhere near the productivity that you have, nowhere near the athlete that you are. It's a giant snub. It feels like something where I don't know, man. It's like that's the kind of material where it's like that team is so close. That defense is so close. You heard Sark today his press conference. That's the other thing. We have the Sark press conference to talk about. I watched Elko's press conference. You heard Sark today talking about how it's so cool to see all the players on all the guys on the defense wearing these Jade for Thorpe, things like they really care about it. They really care about these individual accolades that follow whenever the team has success, right? Because that's the mantra. That's what Sark always says. And whether you think it's corny and whether you think it's whatever, it's like, well, it's kind of working. And these guys kind of buy in. They really like each other. They root for each other. And he's like, and you'll notice the only guy not wearing the Jade for Thorpe Award stuff. Look at the shirts that Jade's wearing around, and all he wears around is these custom-made Quinn shirts that he's wearing. So it's like, that's kind of the team. And I think the team, not that they need bulletin board material, but the Aggies gave it to him, man. I'm telling you, there's a lot of hate in this deal. And even though these guys when's the last time these two teams even played?
2011.
So how old was Ant Hill in 2011? That dude was probably like 8 or something.
Yeah.
Less than that, probably 6.
Yeah.
I mean, these dudes now are starting to be born in like.
If Ant's 19, call it 20 years ago, that would have been 03. Am I wrong? 05 if he's 19.
Like a 6-year-old Ant Hill walking around, man. He's just like still in kindergarten. So these guys, even though they don't, they haven't really experienced the actual rivalry of the game.
Yeah,
these guys all played together. Like A&M recruited against Texas. Like these two schools are these two just giant forces. Say what you will about A&M, and being the little brother and the whole deal. It's kind of true, but The it's still a giant university with a giant endowment and a really big time football, just athletics program. We all need farmers and veterinarians, and clearly, like their school is really good at that stuff. And you know, the school's like it's like an hour and a half drive. It's not even far. It's like to have these two just giant entities just that close to one another, and even when they're not playing, it creates a bit of a stress. These guys know it; they're going to feel it, and once they walk in there, Cody, I'm telling you, man, I've been to Kyle Field. I've been to these games. I think I've been to two or three. No, I think I've been to three. I've been to at least two, maybe three.
What's your
These
record?
games. I've seen one. I've seen one Texas win at the very least. No, I think I'd have to go back and. I think I'd have to go back and ask my other friend Cody that I went to him with. I know I've seen one win. I'm not sure I've seen two wins. But I can remember. I think I might be 1-1 because I think I would remember the two wins.
Yeah.
But I was drunk. Both. I was very, very drunk. You know what I mean? But the thing about these games is like it really is. I'll always talk about it, man. It's like you feel like you're the guy in like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. You don't know if you're having a fever dream or what this whole thing is. Things get really weird in there. They do really weird traditions and claps and things with their hands, and they grab each other by the mid. They kind of grab each other by their like. By the cojones and do this thing where they get in a line and swing and they're doing this hoot and you don't know what's going on. They got these fake army soldiers all over the place and they got the guys dressed up like milkmen on the sidelines. It's an odd, different spectacle, and it is loud. It's loud. So I mean, I know it's going to be something where whether or not they're prepared for, the rivalry being back. I mean, they're going to get it good because the fact of the matter is Texas at this point, both of these teams, they both can control their own destiny.
Yep.
Winner of this game plays Georgia.
Why? A week ago, if we would have said that, you'd have been like, wait, how Georgia lock it up in Texas? And wait, what? But it's kind of wild where we're at right now. But question for you, do you think that is part of the process of planning for the game? Is like, do you think that Sark will sit down and like pull up videos and pull up like things that the fans and stuff will do? Is it that intense? Is that kind of what you're saying? Again, this is from someone, as you all know, pretty much on the outside looking in on all this stuff. Never been to a Texas game, obviously never been to an A&M game, obviously never been covering the team when they played A&M. So I'm very much may ask dumb questions over the course of the week about this rivalry. But is this type of a situation where you think like Sark will have this team like, hey, this is what's going to happen in the third quarter, etc.?
I mean, he was asked a little bit about it today, and he said, I can look back. It's kind of exactly what it was that he said here. Let me just pull up my notes from the press conference. So about the rivalry component, he said this was an interesting point. He said that rivalries are great because of the build up. They're great for the first quarter, but he basically said eventually it sort of just becomes another football game.
But
you know what I mean?
Yes, but also that's on the field, but then also like I feel like there's also that component, like again, everyone's always talked about how maniacal this stadium is and how the fans are weird and all this stuff, but like, is there nuances throughout the game? Is that kind of what you're saying though? Like where they dance and stuff and make and chants, and is that like throughout the game? I'm assuming like third quarter,
yeah.
like planned stuff.
Those like those milkmen that they have on the sidelines, those male cheerleaders. What they are is they're yell leaders, and so what they do is they'll give the bat signal. I have no idea what it is, but they'll give a signal.
Stuff on YouTube where they do it like the night before or whatever.
Well, they have midnight yell. It's called midnight yell, and it's the night before, and you got to go up there at midnight and you practice. They give the signals and you practice the thing that you say. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's
you seem to know.
Well, dude, it's the house divided game, dude. I grew up with an uncle and a cousin who were Aggies. You say you hear about they're like they get done eating for Thanksgiving. Everybody's staying at grandma's. I guess in my case, my grandma's trailer, right? And they would leave and go into Austin to go to the midnight yell, and so you would just hear about it. You know what I mean? And you wouldn't like during that time when I was growing up, or whenever I was growing up, I wasn't a giant. You guys all know my parents were like they're all rice people. Like it wasn't like we had any real Texas, it wasn't like we were fighting back and forth about it the way
Yeah.
that it would be if my kids were there with some kind of like they wouldn't even allow an Aggie to Thanksgiving. But yeah, you would just kind of hear about this stuff. And it's just I think that once you get into it, man, it's just they'll realize real quick it's going to be something different. I don't think it's anything that Texas won't be. It's not like Texas hadn't played in big, loud football games. Texas just most of these guys were in that Alabama game at night last year.
Mm-hmm.
They played in big, loud games. DKR gets loud now. So
yeah, but it's not against you. That's the thing. Is it when it's against you? I think it's a little bit different.
What now? Oh well, yeah. I mean, look. You got to embrace it. I think that maybe something about Quinn, and I guess we'll probably have to have a Quinn discussion here at some point. I did get the defense done on the deep dig, so man, there are a couple of things that we need to just make sure we circle back around to. Sark's press conference, Elko's press conference, Colin Simmons, Anthony Hill,
Gosh,
and then because Colin Simmons had as big a his stat line in the deep dig is an absolute grab bag. I mean, it's just crazy. But like, but just while we're still talking about this, I don't have. I think that Quinn is the kind of guy. I think that guy's so even keel, and Texas has been good on the road and stuff like that. What have they won their last 10 on the road?
Yep.
So I think that'll help. I think it's going to be a challenge. They're putting speakers on the sidelines. Sark was saying today they're going to go up to the officials and make sure that those speakers aren't turned on whenever they're trying to get their plays in because that's illegal.
Yeah, I had that in my column last week, and I had about I think 24 orange bloodians or orange bloodites that said that they would cut the wires if that stuff was on during the play calling. So I think we'll have that. I think Orange Bloods has that covered if they do, overstep with the speakers on the sideline.
You don't want to overstep too hard in the town of Cawley, dude. Like all those cops are on those cops there are on the take, dude. In Bryan College Station, man, you don't get in a lot of trouble if you step out of line.
You don't think one orange bloodian wouldn't? I don't know why I'm calling him. What is the proper tense of that?
And orange blood.
In orange blood. There you go. In orange blood. Yeah, that just sounded terrible. I was saying that. But if in orange blood took one for the team, I think it'd be worth it. Spend a weekend in College Station at the station.
You don't want to. You don't want. Thankfully, that's one I've never gotten myself into, but certainly seen friends go. They don't recommend it after nights down there on Northgate. Do
you think Trey Zune may have like second thoughts when he's lined up there at tackle and Ant Hill and Colin Simmons are lined up side by side on him?
Well, they're gonna get a NASCAR package, and he's gonna have Colin Simmons on his outside eye, and he's gonna have Ant Hill walk up to that.
That's what I'm saying.
Poor eye,
right on.
Say, God, what did I say? I said that this is nothing we can't handle, but how am I gonna handle this? These dudes are monsters, man. I mean, total monsters, and they played like it this last week. And last week, of course, we did have the big show over at Texas Beef Traders. Again, thanks to everybody who made it out to that. But look, the fact is, Texas Beef Traders is just the best. And even if you couldn't make it in, take the words of the people who were there. The food there is just delicious. I mean, it is fantastic. The steaks are awesome. Cody, you got sent home with your grab bag box, right?
Oh, I got some beautiful. I cannot wait to get back to South Carolina in a couple of days and crack open this fresh. I got 2 packages of fresh beef Wagyu bacon from Mason, Texas. I cannot wait to crack this thing open Make me some Texas Beef Trader hamburgers with this Wagyu. Oh my, Alex, I can't even finish my sentence thinking about how fresh and how. Oh my, I'm gonna crap. Back to the question on Friday. I'm gonna turn the Blackstone on. I'm gonna have me a good night.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's all. Oh, well, do the bacon first, and then smash the burger on the bacon grease. But look, man,
And the bun.
Texas Beef Traders, TexasBeefTraders.com. A ton of people came in and got meat this last time. Once you go in there, you're not going to want to eat anything else. There's no additives. It's nothing weird. It all comes from these local ranches, really great farmers. There's the Piedmontese herd. There's the Angus herd, which I love the most. And then there is, of course, the Wagyu herd that Cody's talking about out there in Gatesville. There's a box they put together that's I hate to say it third, like it's the Alex Dunlap box, and you can get it. And it's got like all of my favorite steaks. I think it's $150, and you get a bunch of stuff, snack sticks, all the rest of that stuff. Go to TexasBeefTraders.com. You can check it out. Again, 10% off with the just the mention of Orange Bloods. Texas Beef Traders, TexasBeefTraders.com. It's the best you're going to have. Great sponsors. Thanks again to Texas Beef Traders. All right, so Cody, the thing with Colin Simmons this weekend, because we all know Anthony Hill's giant game, right? It was a monster Anthony Hill game after he was a little bit quiet last week, right? But Anthony Hill on the day, and as a reminder, I'm always going to have different numbers than the school and PFF, because there are just some things that count differently. Most notably, I don't double count these things. So for me, a sack is not also counted as a TFL, which is also not counted as a tackle, if that makes sense. So, and sometimes I'll be like, dude, I think Ant Hill made that tackle. Maybe they didn't think that somebody did, or I think that was an assist. That's another thing is too, on gang tackles, I give them all assists. Why not? Unless somebody just generally just gets the run stop, holds them up, and is going to make the tackle anyway, unless these other guys just come in and help finish him off. I don't count that. But if it's 3-4 dudes converging on the guy at once, you can't really tell who's there first. I'll give all 4 guys an assist. Anthill in this game, I have for so basically 8 total tackles between assists and solo, not counting TFLs and stuff. 2 sacks, 1.5 TFLs, and 1 caused fumble. Just a monster. Now, one of the sacks it's kind of a funny sack because Ant Hill never kind of almost really touched him.
He just gave up.
The guy was just saw him coming. He curled up in the fetal position. I'm like, I don't care. I was like, can I even call that a sack? And I look around, the school calls it a sack. I even checked after the game. PFF called it a sack. I'm like, dude, there's no way I'm going to not give Ant Hill that thing if everybody else is saying it's a sack.
Yeah.
So obviously a monster game for him. But can I tell you about this game for Colin Simmons? So just as far as regular guard and variety tackles, in on 1 tackle, okay? But also, oh wait, I have him for 1 sack. I have 1 sack written down. He didn't have 2 sacks, did he?
PFF has 1 sack too.
Okay, so for some reason I thought he might have had 2. 1 sack, 3 quarterback hits, 3 pressures, 1 TFL, 1 batted pass, 1 caused fumble, 1 run stuff. He's an alien.
I mean, it was questioned. I will say it was questioned. Over the last couple of weeks, did Colin Simmons hit the freshman wall? The last 4 games have kind of been down versus how he looked in the early part of the season. I think he answered that freshman wall question very promptly. He's now, I know PFF doesn't matter. You're talking about the deep dig right now. He's now the top 10 graded pass rusher in the country.
Where's Stutzman?
Well, that's a linebacker, right? So
stupid.
Simmons is the 9th graded pass rusher. I guess I'm under pass rush, so I have to go to defense and then go to overall grade. Stutzman's not even going to he can't be top 50. There's no way he's top 50.
I'm just salty. I'm just sort of, I just think it's stupid. And it didn't me trying to be a homer or anything like that. I think Ant Hill's great. Love Ant Hill. I just can't understand how they can be so stupid. And I know you're talking about Colin Simmons and not,
Stutzman's the 46th ranked linebacker in defensive grade.
what is Ant Hill on PFF? Don't tell me. Don't tell me. What are they, what did the Buccaneers? Oh, third?
Third.
Okay, I thought you were telling me that they were like 78th or something.
No. He's third. The third ranked linebacker in PFF.
PFF is probably right.
First time in a while, and a maniacal, you could say team lead, like basically the defensive unit leader. Jahdae Barron's getting a lot of the public rec right now, obviously for obvious reasons, but I mean, this thing runs through Anthony Hill.
Can I just say something? And I think Jahdae is awesome. I think Jahdae is great.
Dude, I've heard people talking about him as a first round pick right now.
People talk, but
dude, with Will Howard, they're like, well, there's Will Howard, there's Travis Hunter, there's Jahdae Barron at Texas had a good year. Like that's the sentence being used by big names right now.
Dude, Jahdae. People are talking about Jahdae Barron winning what's the award for the best player, the best defensive player, period? Well, is that the Outland?
Jim Thorpe is the back end. No, Outland is offensive line. Bednarik, Chuck Bednarik.
Okay, so people were talking about like he might be like even that. Yeah. And I'm just like, well, dude, he's not the best defensive player on even his own team. He's just like that's very, 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 very clearly Ant Hill. And look, the reason I do the deep dig is because if you want to argue with me about it, we can argue about it all day. Like I can bring scrolls of data and just show you. I can show you historical context. It's like I hate to say that it's not even a question, but it's truly not even a question. So the fact that he wouldn't be Chad Gibson saying the Nagurski Award. I don't know what it is.
The Bednarik is the best defensive player because I voted for the Bednarik. I think I put Kennard, Abdul Carter, and then for third, I think I put Kennard for first, Abdul Carter for second, and Barron for third in my vote for the Bednarik.
You didn't put Ant Hill over Barron?
No, I put no. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I put Barron on there.
Everybody's telling you that it's the Nagurski Award.
It's not the Nagurski Award because I voted for it. The Chuck Bednarik Award is college football's best defensive player of the year.
Okay, well maybe it's another one. I don't know.
The Nagurski Trophy is I think that's also defense, best defensive player. Okay, well, there's two different ones. That's presented by the Charlotte Touchdown Club. I don't vote. I'll tell you what I vote on the Bednarik and the Maxwell, and the All American stuff for FWAA. I don't know anything about the Charlotte. I know that's an award though, so they are right. There's two defensive awards. Moneybee, you are right.
Fair enough. Okay. Anyway, Ant Hill. Just the disrespect is totally real. But if you look at just the game. If you look at the game, just the game, Colin Simmons
not practice the game.
Colin Simmons might have had the better game, But here's the other thing too is that I think Jahdae Barron, Jahdae Barron had a coverage burn in this game, and so did Manny Muhammad.
Yep.
The Jalen Gilbo had a coverage burn. But it didn't count. Do you know what play that was? That was the play wherever Michael Taft blitzes inside, comes up B gap, and jumps up, kind of hits his face mask onto homeboy's face mask. I forget if by then whether it was Boley or not, or whether it was
I think it was Boley because he reached up for it. He's like,
yeah, and he and then the flag comes in, but like he'd made it. He'd thrown a dime, and this dude had burned Gilbo on a little kind of shallow post and up kind of route, and he burned him, and he got saved for the burn because the flag came in. I'm like, oh god, they're gonna call Taft for contact to the head, but then the flag ended up being holding on the offensive lineman, and so Gilbo won't get credit. He won't get credit for the burn, and Michael Taft won't get credit for the quarterback hit. But those two things did happen. So just something a little bit interesting there is that, kind of a little bit of some leakiness on the back end that might not have gotten noticed on an otherwise just really dynamic day for the defense. But it's gonna look. What did you even think about Texas A&M and Marcel Reed versus Auburn? It was a bizarre game. I don't really know what I kind of think, and you could tell me if I'm wrong about this, but this was just my general feeling. I was like, man, is this about the time that there's been enough tape out on Marcel Reed to where teams are starting to figure him out just a little bit?
Yeah. I think we know what he is as a runner, but the problem is I think he was forced in too quickly to be something he's not, which is, I think you're even seeing it with Jalen Milroe to a certain extent. Like, yeah, he can get the ball downfield to a guy like Ryan Williams, but like guys like Jermaine Bernard, the transfer, or Kendrick Law, these other guys that are at Bama right now that aren't really doing anything. I think a little bit of it hinges off of Milroe. In my NFL brain, and I'm going to tie this back to Marcel, don't worry. In my NFL brain, I think that Jalen Milroe could benefit kind of like Anthony Richardson should have went back to Florida for one more year in a passing offense, one more year in that pro style offense. Not that it was pro style for Anthony Richardson, but my point still proves is that I think that's Marcel Reed is like a year even behind where Milroe is, where he's going through it and he's a dynamic runner, but the passing game just isn't there. I think it's forced into, he's got the legs that can get him out of different situations that maybe Weigman couldn't get himself out of. He completes it at a fine rate, but he's not as dynamic as I think he could be. The yards rack up because Noah Thomas is a really good wide receiver. I think there's a lot more there that can be brought to the table, but it's just, they're 0-2 this month against the SEC. The one win they have is against New Mexico State, 35-point win. The book's there. The book is out. I don't think he's bad. I just think it's kind of like the maturation of the dual threat, lean on the run game type of quarterbacks. Does that make sense?
Yeah, dude, for sure. Look at these JST and this is painful. And then this guy says, I just do not know what you guys are trying to say. Cody, I think we might not be doing a good job communicating today somehow. I'm not sure.
A&M guys.
A&M guys. Well, hey man, welcome into the chat,
Never
dude.
seen these names before in the chat.
This is Football with Friends, man. If you could please remember to like the show, subscribe to the channel, whether you hate us or not, man. We certainly love having you guys here. Want to talk about some of the stuff from the Elko press conference and some of the stuff from Sark's press conference, but before that, I need to just. So what's your
take on Marcel Reed though? You didn't give a take on Marcel Reed. Like, do you think the book is out on him?
Yeah. It wasn't like he couldn't get what he wanted to get done versus Auburn. But dude, the Auburn defense, like I kind of think the Auburn, I think the Auburn defense kind of stinks.
Yeah, how many guys were at the combine last year? Four DBs. Like, yeah, it's a pretty new group, and it's a young group.
Yeah, but yeah, A&M looked like they were a young new group too. And Elko was just talking about it.
And Jaron Thompson on the back end for Auburn.
Yeah. Oh, I totally forgot about that. I was watching. I'm like, oh, dude, wait, they got Bug back there too. This it's wild, man, for sure. But I think that game felt like a bizarro world kind of game, and I wasn't really sure if that was it it feels to me like he's a player who, with a little bit of time and with now these last 4 games, has it been? Yeah, because there were the ones to start the year, and now there's been like these last 4. It's like I just feel like we're getting to. What do coaches say? Like you need 5 games on a guy to be able to get a critical mass of tape. So it wasn't like I really noticed anything in that one that made me think it. I'm thinking we're getting to about the time where coaches sometimes say that this is about win. So,
yep.
Just something to keep in mind. About Texas, though, and A&M both having to play in this game for the SEC championship. Uh, I noticed today, Cody, that on the DraftKings Sportsbook, Texas, they don't offer the line anymore for Texas to make the CFP. They took Texas off. They took Ohio State off. They took Oregon off. None of those
I
guys, you can't even get odds for any of them.
yeah.
But you can get odds for, I believe it was for, um, I think it might have been Indiana at minus 2,000.
To
So
make
20
it
to what
to make it,
to the CFP
FanDuel has it minus 8,000
for what?
for Indiana
Texas?
to make the CFP.
Do they offer a Texas line?
No, there's no Texas line. There's no Ohio State line. There's no Georgia line.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. They took off Georgia too. Yep.
There is a Bama line plus 210 to make it.
Really?
That makes
Okay.
sense.
Um,
Notre Dame's still here, minus 650.
yeah. So I noticed they were minus 650. And then you got like, do they have one on Ole Miss? Because
Yep.
Lane Kiffin was saying today that they still have a shot somehow.
Plus 420. I don't know what their shot is, but it's gonna take a lot of stuff to go wrong because they're gonna score 69 against Mississippi State. I probably full-heartedly believe that, but I don't think that's gonna be enough.
Lane Kiffin says that you can throw the record books out in the Egg Bowl.
You know what's so funny is I like Lane, but he's so like he always seems like he's just like this is not meant negatively. He always seems like he's gonna cry when he's talking because he's so like even
Pensive.
keeled, so like what's the
Yeah.
word?
Pensive.
Pensive. Okay. And
I think that's the word. Maybe people in chat will say that's wrong. I don't know. Maybe pensive is totally wrong. I kind
and
of think, yeah.
and last week he like talked about it like multiple times, multiple different opportunities, multiple press conferences that he had and the SEC one. And he's like, man, that place is the swamp. I mean, they had 90,000 there last week, and you would have thought they were playing for the SEC championship. You know, that stadium is going to be ready, and we know they're a good and he just like knew exactly what was coming down the pipes at him and still couldn't do anything about it. That I think was the toughest thing for me all weekend to get my head wrapped around.
Pensive means thoughtful, sober, or sad, employed in serious reflection, given to or favorable to earnest or melancholy musings. Yeah, it's kind of pensive, right? Kind of looks a little bit sad, deep in thought, reflective, kind of quiet. Um, so, are we to take it to mean that with all of this stuff happening, that Texas, even if they lose, they're in?
Listen, man, I've kind of said this the last couple. I don't think you can put a team like Texas at 3, and if they make it to this point of the season, which is week 13, where the ranking for the AP came out, even like the AP. I know the AP doesn't exactly correlate to the CFP, but the AP dropped Alabama 6 spots for their third loss. Their third loss, which is a stomping at Oklahoma, dropped them to 13. I know we had Georgia fall a couple weeks ago in the CFP from 3 to was it 3 to 12 or 3 to 11? I want to say it was like 3 to 12, 9 spots, right? Miami had their first loss. They dropped 5 spots. That was a loss at Georgia Tech. I don't think, and that's from 4 to 9. Georgia was the outlandish one because they lost to the 16th ranked team, and everybody else has lost to unranked teams, and they've only come down a couple spots. And Georgia loses to a ranked team, and they get room right down to the bottom, which is just bizarre and
Mm-hmm.
made sense for Kirby to get mad. But it doesn't make any sense for me that you would tell me that Texas is the third ranked team, which they're going to tell us tomorrow, and then within a week, when the final one, before the SEC championship, it comes out, they go, yeah, that team that we thought was number 3, yeah, they're now 13. Like, what? Like, or they're now 12. Like, I don't see that. There's no way in my brain that makes any sense. They've given Texas too much credit for the way they've played defense, the talent on the team, the way they've played consistently all season outside of one blip, which was a half of football. They're making the playoff, and I think the odds are probably telling you that. Like they pull it when they pull a ticket, it's because it's a guarantee. Like, or they just don't want, they want to stay away from it, right? If it's too close, they may pull it, or if it's too far apart, they're like, this is not worth anything to us. And
The sports books have taken it off the board. You can't bet on Texas anymore.
that's what I'm saying. Like, if they either pull it if it's too close, right, or they'll pull it if it's too far apart. It's too far apart. There's no reason to even have it out there. No one's going to touch it if it's a Texas minus 50,000. It's like the Heisman odds right now. The Heisman odds, I think, for fifth place, it's like a 5-way tie. Quinn's one of them. It's like minus or plus 50,000
because no one's going to get it.
No one's betting that.
Yeah,
it's like the same thing for Texas making the playoff. No one's betting it because it's a guarantee.
So you think it's a guarantee? So let me just ask you this then. Okay, well then what about this then? And I'm just curious. So let's say, all right, so Tennessee still has Vandy. Okay, so
that's
let's just
we need for South Carolina.
Let
Dude, we're this close. We are this close, Alex. We're this close.
You are. I'm telling you, man. You got a mouse in that poncho pocket of yours, dog. If you all this wee stuff, I know it's not me you're talking. It isn't me and you're talking about.
You're gonna be like, yeah, we were talking about that. You're gonna say that next week when South Carolina's got that 12 seed.
I'm gonna say you and that mouse in your pocket. So let's just say and I think Texas beats Texas A&M, right? We still haven't talked about Quinn yet. He's like, but I think Texas beats Texas A&M if Quinn's perfectly healthy.
Can I ask you? So you might as well do it. You brought up Quinn. You want to talk about Quinn? I saw Chad's tweet about Quinn being like, Chad's like, yeah, Quinn, he's so like, mellow and so even keel. I wonder how he'll react to playing at Kyle Field. And
We've seen how he reacts in these games. Yeah.
But here's the thing. We've also seen how he reacts to a pretty sicko defensive line. And that's the one thing that A&M has, a pretty sicko defensive line. And that was at home against Georgia that he kind of cracked.
He goes against a better defense every week in practice.
Correct. And we said that before Georgia.
Yeah, well,
this defensive line's pretty nasty.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that I'm not going to chalk this thing up and just saying, well, Quinn's cool, Quinn's relaxed, Quinn's this. Quinn's also got a bum ankle, and if Quinn gets hit one time blindside because of a missed assignment that we've seen happen this year, I'm not the most confident just to say, oh yeah, Quinn's cool, collected, and you'll be fine.
I mean, well, it's fine. You don't. I've never seen Quinn lose control of his capacities in a mental way or whatever. You feel like there's been various meltdowns and stuff like that just within the
I mean, Sark literally took him out because of it.
Yeah, but you didn't feel like that was more of a function of all the fronts and all the stuff that they were doing along and the way they were mugging up those linebackers at the very last second. And he was like, maybe that is the closest I've seen him to doing any kind of real short circuit.
I think that, I mean, Sark literally said I'd take him out to calm him down because, all that stuff included that you just said, but he was frazzled. He was, shook up, whatever it was. He took him out to calm him down. I think that has to be the one thing that you can look back on, especially, I think, over Quinn's career. That's why I'm a little more nervous than I think.
Because in theory, whenever they do, we talked about it all after the game. I mean, in theory, whenever they do that, you should have the advantage throw just dialed up, right? The guy comes from there, you throw it where he comes from. It's a pretty simple concept. So yeah, I do. I mean, I do get that. But as far as just kind of ask you about this scenario, and then we can talk more about the Quinn thing. Like, okay, so let's just say the Texas loses, okay, and A&M goes on to the SEC championship game. The last thing that the committee is going to want to do, and what the SEC is going to tell the committee that they can't do, is they don't want to punish a team for losing in the SEC championship game, right?
Correct.
So what if it comes down then to a 2-loss Texas that just got beat by A&M, who goes and gets stomped by Georgia to give them 4 losses, but they just beat Texas?
Well, I think that
is there a way to get them both in?
I'm not sure. That poses a very, very, very tough thing. Is if A&M wins at home against Texas, A&M vaults. Then I mean, in the AP right now they're 20. Last week's CFP, I think they were at 15. I want to say it was 15. So we assume that they're going to drop to about 20 or maybe 18 or something like this week in the CFP. They beat Texas. They probably vault themselves up to, gosh, I don't know how you can vault them ahead of a Georgia or ahead of a Tennessee at that point. But nonetheless, they're probably going to be on that 10 range. And I think at that point, it's not so much punishing you because you were in the SEC championship. It's punishing you because it's your fourth loss. Like I think it's different than if you were to be like,
I just think I think if that were their third loss,
different.
they would say we can put in a 3-loss A&M over a 3-loss Texas or over a 2-loss Texas, because based on what we saw last week with A&M and Texas, A&M was better than Texas, and so Texas
At
would have
Kyle
lost.
Field, not neutral, at Kyle.
Right. So Texas would have
Or
lost to Georgia the same way that they did. But since there's a 2-loss difference, can you do the thing that like A&M was just the better team on their home field this last week? We got to get a 4-loss team into this playoff over Texas. I think that creates a situation for the committee where they just have to say, well, we probably just have to get them both in.
Yeah, but then who do you kick out? You can't kick out, a 1-loss Indiana. You can't kick out a 1-loss Indiana and bring in a 4-loss. Dude, world would burn if you put a 4-loss A&M in over a 1-loss Indiana.
So would then that be a situation where, since you can't put in A&M, the world would burn to put in Texas, who they just beat?
I think that would.
Or is it just like, man, we got to look over the course of the whole season, and over the course of the whole season, Texas was better?
It's a high-level conversation that I think is like why people sitting in that room are going to have a long week if this happens. I think it's going to – that's when I think it could be as easy as just saying 1v1, A&M beat them. But also you say, look at the last month, look at the setting, the rivalry, the weight of the game. Like Kirby says, who'd you play, when, and where matters. Theoretically, you would say that Texas really doesn't have the strongest resume as far as, wins against ranked teams, etc. And the 2 toughest tests they had of the season technically were losses. And you could draw a line to taking Texas out. I just don't see it. I just don't see how you drop a team from 3 out. Now, if you drop,
are you telling me that the sports books haven't war gamed this out?
I think they have. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, I like Texas chances, but that particular scenario.
That's the one scenario, right?
Otherwise, if that doesn't happen, otherwise, would it just be? Are we just looking at if Texas goes and just plays this deal? Are we just and wins? So let's say Texas wins. Is it just 3 SEC teams in this thing?
Georgia, Texas, Tennessee,
if they beat Vandy.
And then I still I'm telling you right now, South Carolina is going to be sitting right there. They're going to be sitting this week, I think, in the rankings. They're going to be at 13 in the overall CFP rankings. I think
Chris in the chat saying head-to-head, it's not going to make up 3 losses versus 2. No, but I'm not seeing it would technically be 4 losses in this scenario versus 2. So if you don't think that, like, if you don't think it'd be if the head-to-head would make up for 3 versus 2, then certainly 4 versus 2 wouldn't. But I could just see the discussion in the committee being like, well, in any way we can get them both out, so we don't have to just deal with this headache. I don't know. It's just maybe.
I think the 3 teams in are Georgia, Tennessee, and Texas, unless A&M wins this weekend and gets to the SEC championship. Then I think A&M, which oddly enough, Alex, would probably vault South Carolina. And you think I'm crazy bringing up South Carolina, but I've been dead serious about this the last 2 weeks. Is that South Carolina is going to be sitting right there on that edge, and they play Clemson, and a win over Clemson vaults them in. And South Carolina's last month,
if we're talking about South Carolina, Texas is in.
Started with a dominant win against Texas A&M. So if this thing falls out like you're saying, and A&M goes to the SEC championship and loses, A&M also has a South Carolina problem because South Carolina is the same team that played A&M a month ago.
It's
The same,
almost like, well, no, but how about this?
and they're
If
a
Texas,
3-loss team.
if Texas were going to, if if
I don't think
A&M
Texas
beat,
falls below Tennessee, period.
okay, not in the CFP.
No.
Okay, I don't know how the tiebreakers work with that stuff.
Well,
I
I
don't
think it's
know.
the ranking. I don't think that the CFP will move them below Tennessee.
Okay, if let's play out this scenario then. If Texas loses to A&M, A&M beats Georgia.
Well, then I think you're in a tizzy of a situation because then
Yeah,
A&M's a force in, and they're
yeah,
coming up from being ranked probably 18 this week. They beat Texas. They're going to vault up to probably 12. They vault up. They're probably going to vault up to like 8.
yeah, and
And it's gonna
then
be like then there's South Carolina conversation's out the window.
oh yeah.
And the Tennessee Texas thing is probably your conversation for that, third, are they the last 2 seeds in?
It's gonna be weird. It would be weird. It would be weird. I don't think that. Look, man, it's like people are saying in the chat. Just go win the game.
Just win,
Just
baby.
just go win the game. Let's
Nail
see.
Davis.
Anything interesting from Sark? He was asking about Quinn's ankle. He said I think he's doing okay. We're normally so basically Texas is changing up their practice schedule this week. Sark wants to get the team on the circadian rhythm of playing more kind of in the evenings.
Yep.
And they're afforded to do that this week because they don't have school and they can sleep in. And so he said that he hadn't seen him yet on the field, so he couldn't really give much of an update. But he says he thinks he's going to be okay. But he's not going to. He says we'll see how that goes this afternoon. Now he doesn't have to meet with. Is he going to give a later week? I don't think he's going to give a later week availability. Is he? I know there's no SEC media call.
Canceled.
What?
I thought Anwar said that was canceled.
I think it's all canceled. So it's like he's like, yeah, like we'll follow up. Like we'll.
And
Like,
there's no
we'll be able
SEC
to,
either.
like we'll be able to tell you a little bit more later in the week, right? So it's like, it's like he's never gonna have to say anything about Quinn's ankle. We're gonna have to just go on the reporting. I'm sure that we'll have a good feel on it over at Orange Bloods. But I look, I'll just say it now. I feel like it. I'm not sure he was moving. I turned on the game and I was on radio for the first half. So it's like I just turned it on. I didn't know what happened. I'm texting you. I'm like, what happened to Quinn? Like why is he limping? Like, and then on that pick 6 or whatever that, I don't even what fumble 6, what even was that? It's like on that thing, I'm just like, dude, he can't move. Like he can't manipulate. Like he was already kind of having some issues in the last week with navigating the pocket and having some tricky stuff with that. We've detailed it a lot here on the show, but to be hindered in that way, it was kind of like you don't look. I'm glad that Texas has the ability to be nimble and change things up and everything like that. Man, do you really think it's like in every game or in any of these games moving forward that you're gonna want to stick that ball in like Trey Wisner's belly for like 16 runs in a row and like go win a game because Quinn can't move? And I think if he's like that, the game plan is going to have to be, I don't know, like, does he play?
I tell you what, dude, I think your tweet back to that one thing that there was multiple that came out yesterday that were like, Quinn Ewers doesn't play Texas out of the playoff. I don't make the rules. And like, that is the most.
That's a total troll thing. I even
Total
responded
troll
to somebody
thing.
about that and I tweeted it and then I just deleted my tweet. I'm like, dude, this guy's obviously just engagement farming.
But
Nobody can believe this.
Everybody was saying the same thing. And it's so, but I think that there's to a certain extent, some people are just so dumb and they're like, oh, Florida State was out, Texas is out. It's like, dog.
It wasn't just Jordan Travis. It was then his backup. And then they had that.
Nobody can even name Tate Rodemaker. Come on.
Tate Rodemaker was the backup. It was his backup.
Which was
Don't
Brock
you remember
Glenn.
he got concussed. It was Brock Glenn. And here's the thing too, Cody.
Trey Owens
Jordan Travis was never going to be able to come back for the CFP. Quinn would at least be back healthy for the CFP. And even if he wasn't, you got Arch. You've already seen Arch. He started this year, Brock Glenn. Or you like, I tried responding, and then I'm like, oh wait. I'm getting trolled here.
It was kind of hilarious, but I think here's the thing: is even if Quinn, his ankle's bad, and they're like, man, this thing's just not going to be ready. I think that they would quietly game plan all week for Arch. Texas would, and the game would go just as it goes. It would be just fine, and I think the result would be similar, if not the same, if not, and it wouldn't change anything. And Quinn would be, because I think the team feels good. I don't think that they're going to go out there. I guess how do I just lay this up point blank? I don't think that Sark's going to force Quinn out there if he's not 100% or at least 90%. I don't think they're going to put him out. Like this defensive line is sick, man.
He'll play him at 90%.
Yeah.
He'll play him at 90.
But he's got to show like pregame though that he can move around. He's not just going to be like, yeah, man, you're stationary. Let's go.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's like,
look, practice.
We'll have all week to talk about it. We didn't even get to the Fasusi stuff or the Spiegelman's reporting or anything like that. Now, we got to thank Poncho Outdoors, man. Thanks so much for Poncho Outdoors for being such a great sponsor of the show. Look at Cody's shirt, man. Like, dude, I'm telling you, those denim shirts,
too good.
It's been kind of like a game changer. Like, I love the lighter Western shirts, but I think I'm just going to get these now. They're like really, really, really sturdy, well put together shirts, and they fit just so awesome. So make sure and just go check those out over at Poncho Outdoors. The one that Cody's wearing is called the Matamoros. So you can check. And Cody's been, of course, in a triple XL. I'll be tossing mine on here a little bit later because the kids have just been dropped off with their aunt and uncle and cousins for a sleepover. So maybe my wife and I will go get some food, and it's starting to get cold outside. So I'll be putting on my awesome new poncho shirt. Thanks to Specs. Thanks to everybody in the chat for being here, man. It's been, just a ton of people watching tonight, man. Close to 900 of you guys watching live. So thank you guys very much. The show continues to grow, and it's only because of you. For everybody watching live, we love having you here, man. We love you guys in the chat, but I think most people the people that we met at the Texas Beef Traders say they watch, like, there are a couple that watches it at dinner, and there's another guy that watches it on his drive into work. And so whenever you watch the show, man, just thank you very much. We just ask that you like the show, subscribe to the channel, but most importantly, come back and hang with us. We're here every night from 6 to 7. So love you guys. God bless you. Enjoy your football tonight. For Cody, I'm Alex. We're done.